Hi everyone, and welcome back to our 14 by 12 apiary. This is my very first visit since I actually dropped off these hives because my back has been in so much pain. It's really frustrating. It's come at a time of year when really I needed to be out getting feeders on and checking bees and replacing all of these floors, which I've mentioned in the podcast and in other videos. But you can see behind me we've got the hives set out. They've still got the travelling straps on, so I've yet not taken those off. It's just been too much effort, to be honest. But we're out today, and all I'm going to do is to just remove the straps and to get a feeder on them. I'm really desperate to get a feeder on, and we've got some bucket feeders, and I thought we'd just shoot a quick video showing you us putting these bucket feeders on and what's involved. So we get the camera over to the hives, we get them unstrapped, and then we'll load up some of these bucket feeders with some food. I've got two different types of food. I've got some of the old Apiary heavy sugar syrup, which is a thick sugar syrup, and I've also got the Api mix, which is the sugar syrup with the additional vitamins and amino acids. And it'll be interesting. You'll be able to see the difference between the thickness of the two syrups, and we'll put them on different hives and we'll see how the bees take it down. So let's go over and have a look at these windswept hives. You'll have to just excuse the wire from the microphone, but it's a bit breezy today, so we've hooked up our little remote microphone. So here's the bucket feeder. It's a bucket. The lid has some wire gauze that's been glued to a hole in the top, and that fits on top of the bucket, forms a seal. The important thing is to make sure that you close the lid properly so that it forms a seal, and then when you turn it upside down with the lid sealed on properly, it forms a vacuum in the top so that the feed doesn't just simply gush out all over the bees, and then as the bees feed through the gauze, air bubbles will pop into the bucket and it will just allow the feed to come out naturally. So we've got the two different types of feed here. Let me show you the Apiary first. So this is the heavy sugar syrup, and we'll fill this bucket up first, and you'll see how thick and syrupy it is. So we're just going to fill this up right to the top. And the bees will take this really quite quickly. We've still got some fairly mild weather, so that's all good. So that's almost all of this jerry can. I think there were about maybe 2/3 of the can left, and then we need to put the lid on nice and tight, because if we don't put the lid on tight, then it won't seal and we'll end up with a terrible mess. And then prior to actually putting it on the bees, we'll invert the bucket over another bucket, and that will allow the vacuum to form, but some of the syrup will drip out and we need to just catch that. So that's one. And then the Api mix is a lighter syrup, and you can see how much lighter a syrup it is, and this is the one with the added vitamins and amino acids. So we've got that topped up almost to the top, and again we can get the lid on that nice and securely to make sure that we don't cause a flood. So we'll take these over to the hives, unstrap the hives, and I'll just get these onto the hives as quickly as we can. So we're at the hive, we're all set, everything's prepared. Just going to give the bees a little bit of smoke because they don't know that we're coming in to help them. I'll just put the smoker on the floor. So we've got our bucket feeder, our rapid feeder, contact feeder, sorry, here. So I'm just going to leave that there, and then we'll just open up the hive. I'm just having to be a little bit careful because not only have I got the bag back, but I'm also connected via this wire. So we need to just open up our propelised little board, and I'll give them a little bit more smoke. And in fact, let's just take off the crown board and see what spread of bees we've got across the brood frames. Okay, so we've got quite a nice full area of bees. There are bees all the way across, so we should be okay. So we're not going to get into an inspection right now. I'm just looking down and I can see the bees milling around, so we'll just give them a little bit of smoke just to move them off the corner of the brood box. Just going to tap the bees off the crown board, and then we can pop the crown board back on very gently. Just give it a wiggle just to move the bees off so we don't crush any bees. I'm always wary of doing damage to the poor old bees. Right, so we've got our board back on. Now we need to just get the feeder, so we'll come across, just move the notes out of the way. And so we need to create a vacuum in this bucket. The lid is unsecure, so I'm just going to tip it upside down, and you can see that we've got syrup, just a little bit of syrup running out, but we don't want that flooding into the bees themselves. So we can now take this over and pop it down onto the crown board, and it's as simple as that. I'll just get the other crown board cover, make sure we have no bees on it. So now we need to put a couple of empty supers on top so that we can then get the roof back on top. So I'll just grab those. So we've got our 2 supers just to give us some cover. I'll just move these bees out of the box. There we are. So we can now pop the roof on top of this, and it will be nice and secure, and we won't have the roof balanced on top of that bucket. And the roof is nice and heavy, so we don't really need to strap it down at all. That should be okay.